Hello, my friends, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. We did have a nice little stream yesterday, and I very much appreciate those who showed up. It was a good time. Unfortunately, I think we're going to need to start playing something other than Dragon Age Origins because those game crashes are starting to irritate the crap out of me. I could barely get through much of anything without it deciding to crash, and unfortunately, the research I have done shows that there's really nothing I can do to fix it. I've tried, the 64 gigabyte patch and all these other things, and there's nothing. And I know it's not the mods I'm running. I'm barely running anything. And I would bet if I got rid of them all, it would still happen. I've actually seen other people on Twitter who tried to play the originals say the same thing, that it crashed repeatedly for them and they couldn't even play it. It's not a lot of fun to try to get through. I'm not going to lie. I will throw up a poll in the community tab before next week, and we can determine what we're going to do. I mean, maybe for all I know, you guys like to see me suffer every time a goddamn crashes. What we are here to talk about tonight is something I'm sure made a lot of people cry, but after reading this article, I just cope. Cope is all I got from this article. This is on PC Gamer, written by Joshua Wollens. Original Fallout co-creator Tim Cain says critique of capitalism was never the point of the game, and if anything, they're about how war is inevitable given basic human nature. But he doesn't mind if you take an anti-capitalist message away anyhow. I mean, realistically, most don't mind any message you take away, but that's beside the point. So basically, this article is about what is Fallout about. They found basically what it's not about in a video that Tim Cain made called, believe it or not, Capitalism. And I have watched the video. It's a pretty good video, interesting on his thoughts regarding capitalism, but what you come to find when you go into the comments, Santi Strange say this is interesting. I believe that in a capitalist environment, those with greater financial power will always try to capitalize the audience's behavior one way or another, more and more so in times like this, when they hear and watch everything we do. Was there any of this ever present in your original ideas for Fallout? To me, the game struck as a critique on capitalist corporative greed, Vault-Tec and others, and on excessive militarization. But I've seen on some articles that you have debunked this. How much of that is true? Cain says, critique of capitalism was never the point of Fallout. In fact, the game went out of its way to mention other countries like China were also behaving badly. If anything, Fallout is a comment that war is inevitable given basic human nature. When you listen to the video, which I will link down in the description, he is not necessarily anti-capitalist as much as he maybe doesn't understand capitalism. For full disclosure, I am an anarcho-capitalist. I don't like government, and I do like capitalism. I especially like private property rights. So me and most varieties of government control do not mix.
Fuck the government.
Yes, fuck the government. Little sheep cameo. And of course, me and the writer of this article also do not mix, which we will get into in a second. The original Fallouts did depict the U.S., as this person describes it, a chauvinist, capitalist hellscape that imposed its will on the world and shot anyone who disagreed. But it wasn't unique. Fallout's China, which never dropped the smash the old world and forge the new world ideology of Mao Zedong thought era, was also plenty violent. In fact, in Cain's original version, it was China who dropped the first bomb. So while capitalism may have had a point, it's not actually capitalism that they're giving a critique of. Now, we can get into a really fine conversation about the difference between corporatism and capitalism, but I don't know that anybody wants that right now. This person says that Cain doesn't appear to disapprove of an anti-capitalist read on the game. He says, I don't think I have any themes that run in common with all my games. Maybe mistrust of power, said Cain. But people will interpret my games in all kinds of ways, and that's okay. Everyone brings their own perspective, and a story can mean different things to different people. And realistically, when you listen to the video that he just did, the capitalist video, he was really talking about perspective. He was talking about how during his time as a president of a game development company, he did what he could for his employees, but his employees still went out and said he did all this terrible stuff to them. And so at that point, he's sitting there wondering, why did I try to be good to them if all they're going to say is that I'm bad to them? And it gets into a whole thing. I do recommend watching the video. It gives an interesting perspective. And of course, this guy says, Pinko that I am. I've always taken an anti-capitalist read on the original Fallout games, but I'm not too surprised. Cain wasn't necessarily trying to make an isometric RPG version of the Grundrisse back in the 90s. When I consider his work like The Outer Worlds, which was intensely satirical of corporate life without making much criticism of capitalism or private property as a whole, it makes sense that critique of capital just isn't something that interests him that much. Plus, if there's one thing Marx adjacent among us don't need help with, it's reading anti-capitalism into literally anything. Or literally everything. And if there's one comment that I really wanted to highlight in this article, it's that. And maybe it's very culture war of me or whatever to say this, but it's something to keep in mind, the point of view these people are writing these articles from. And the fact that Joshua is willing to just come out and say it, that he is Marx adjacent. And when you understand what goes into that, and I wonder if Josh does, it really gives you a great idea on why they're willing to say some of the things and do some of the things regarding their journalism that they're willing to do. Because in the end, to them, saying and doing anything is okay if it meets their end. While looking for maybe another article or something that covered this a little more in depth, I did, believe it or not, go into a Reddit forum, which I found interesting, that only 3 months ago talks about Chris Avallone denying that the OG Fallout had anti-capitalism as a theme. He pulls this quote from a Medium article written by Chris. And again, this link will be down in the description if you want to check these things out. Some major themes like capitalism, which was never part of the original Fallout premise, despite what you may think, capitalism equaling evil is a very modern shout topic, and it's not surprising that Hollywood leans on that for a big reveal. And these people go back and forth talking about, light anti-capitalism, it being incidental. The one that I really like here is this maybe anti-consumerism being conflated with anti-capitalism too, because there's really not enough education around the difference between consumerism, capitalism, corporatism, and all those other things. Basically, we're at a point in life where everybody just says capitalism bad, and we go on from there. Now that I've gone full mask off in terms of my beliefs, why don't you let me know what you think down in the comments? I'd appreciate hearing from you. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notifications. If you really liked it, you can feel free to share it around, and I will catch you later.